Yeah, not prepared for Tuesday. Okay. Good afternoon, today is Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021, and we are here for a town board meeting, which was rescheduled from yesterday due to the event of the snowstorm. As always, we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Can you please take the lead?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ken. And Frank, do we have someone for
Yes.
our faith community?
Thank you. In keeping with our tradition of having a faith-based invocation today, we have with us Reverend Andrew Montaro, Community Baptist Church. Thank you for being with us, Reverend.
Thank you for allowing us the privilege of being here. Just want to thank you for that opportunity, and also just want to express some thanks to the town. Recently, we had an issue with some flooding in front of the church. I called the highway department. The next day, they were there taking care of the drain and all of that. And I just want to express thanks to the town for taking care of that in just such a timely manner. I really appreciate that. But
Thank you.
just also want to encourage the town, as you have been having prayers every town meeting, just seeking God's wisdom, that we're seeking the God of all wisdom. And so let's open up in a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come before you this afternoon, and we are seeking your wisdom for how to operate during these troubling times and uncertain futures. Lord, we know that you know the future, that you have the wisdom we need to make the decisions that are best for our town, best for our children, and best for the coming generations. Lord, we pray that you would guide our steps in these coming days. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you again, Reverend.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you for allowing us. Have a good one.
You
Take
too.
care. Before we get started, we have several announcements. The distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine is underway, and while some residents have received the vaccine, many haven't, and we fully understand of the frustrations. And what I'm told, we're expecting a pod next week, but we've gotten that word on it, and then it never shows up. 2 new vaccines are coming out by the end of the month, and there's going to be wide distribution, and I'm confident I'm going to try to have our liaison from our senior center to start compiling a list, so when they become available, we can try to send out a massive email. So that's underway in that regard. I know that they cannot come soon enough, and residents can make an appointment. They can visit covid19vaccine.health.ny.gov. I'll repeat it, covid19vaccine.health.ny.gov. Or you can go out to our website and the information is readily available. In the meantime, please be patient and remain vigilant in following the 3 W's, which are wear a mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. Remember that COVID testing sites remain open throughout all of Riverhead, and it has become much easier to get what's called a rapid test, and also what's called a PCR test, which is more extensive in its nature. One is approximately the rapid test. You get the results within 15 minutes, and its efficiency rate is anywhere from 70 to 86%, and the PCR is approximately 98% accurate. The Riverhead Safe program, which was established on the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's being run by our senior center, and it's available for residents if they need any essentials delivered to their homes. We also have a Riverhead Senior Hotline, 631-727-3200, extension 653, and that phone is manned, and usually they return your telephone call, even if it's on the weekend, within 1 to 2 days. On weekdays, it's available Tuesdays and Thursdays between the hours, it's manned with a person, Tuesdays and Thursdays between the hours of 9:30 and 12:30 p.m. Any resident who may need food, regardless of your age, your economic status, or family, your situation, there is an emergency food assistance. We have partnered with the state And yeah, please register at 311. They will intake you, and we will provide food, a package of food for 4 people for 3 days, 3 meals. Okay, and just make sure that you register. It's not our program, it's a state program, but we have partnered with the state to deliver the food to your door, and the food is delivered within 24 hours. As you know by now, we are under a state of emergency due to COVID-19, and all public participation in town meetings and public hearings will be accomplished via Zoom only. And accordingly, the public may watch and/or participate in any of today's meeting by viewing live on your television on Channel 22, logging on to the Riverhead Town website, or using Zoom and the credentials provided to you on our website. And lastly, during last week's work session, our independent audit committee began to present to the town board what they called the preliminary findings of their recent audit of our town highway superintendent. However, after a few minutes and learning the type of assertions that were being made, we, as a town board, asked the IAC to present the full report to the highway superintendent, enabling him the ability to respond and then provide a copy at a work session at a later date. I did ask them if and when they might have the copy. They weren't sure, but we were told that the copy was ready. We need to work on this as far as the audit committee, and I have tasked our financial administrator to ensure that in the future, that every protocol to protect everyone, and for us not to be blindsided, that is put into effect, and he'll be working in that regard. In this case, the highway superintendent deserved the opportunity to respond in full to the findings of the audit. The town board understands there might be some COVID-induced delays and wish to convey our appreciation to the entire IAC who volunteered their time. Okay, so that concludes our announcement. However, I think you had an announcement, Catherine, I'm sorry.
So I wanted to make an announcement on the behalf of the Anti-Litter Committee, which I'm the liaison to. We weren't able to have a litter pickup last year because of COVID, but this year we decided to have one because we are seeing a lot of litter around town. So we're going to just adapt it because of COVID. So we are going to have a litter pickup on Saturday, April 17th. People can come to Town Hall between the hours of 9 and 11 and pick up gloves and bags and pickers and things that are needed, and then go out. We'll have set streets and then go out at their own time. We won't gather as a group because of COVID, and of course we ask that people wear masks. So we definitely need people to volunteer. Last time we had over 80 people, and I know we're working with the waiting shops at Eastwind, and I know they've had as many as 200 people. So I hope people will come out and join us and work in small groups. And you can register at deborahjwetzel@gmail.com. Thank you.
Catherine, you want to put that on the website?
Yes, I do.
Okay, yeah, so.
That
send-
would be great.
send it
It'll be
to,
on the website then.
yeah,
Perfect.
Send it to Lisa, she does our website.
Okay, thank you.
Great, you're welcome. All right, and that concludes our announcements, but before we move on with our normal meeting agenda, we are asking to take the time to look back on an important tradition, which due to COVID has taken a temporary backseat. The Employee of the Quarter program that exists here in Riverhead was established in order to provide a mechanism for the town of Riverhead to recognize exceptional employees upon the recommendation of the Labor Management Committee. As a result of their hard work and the dedication to the town of Riverhead and its residents, and on behalf of the entire town board, I've asked each town board member to present each town employee with proclamations. We have a total of 4 employees, and the first one would be for the first quarter of 2020, and that would be Emily Tuck. Emily, can you come forward, please?
I think if you go right over here, you'll be on camera. Congratulations, Emily. Thank you. Emily is the first quarter 2020 employee of the quarter. Emily is known for being a team player. Emily is always willing to help her coworkers with enthusiasm and cheerfulness. After the town installed new accounting software, Emily quickly became proficient in its use, and she willingly volunteered to help train other coworkers. Every office needs and has to have an Emily, so we're very proud that you work for us, and congratulations. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Emily.
Well deserved.
Great job,
And I'll-
Emily.
And our second quarter nominee in 2020 is Jeff Davis. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here with us, but he will be presented with a proclamation.
Absolutely. Jeff Davis with the Highway Department, a great guy, known for a number of years as a liaison to the Highway Department. You know, these guys and girls work so hard, and we couldn't be any more grateful to their service. But Jeff, since the second quarter of 2020, has retired and is not able to be with us today. He had demonstrated the utmost dedication and skill in carrying out the responsibilities of his position as a construction equipment operator for the Highway Department. On June 3rd in particular of 2020, Jeff made a split-second decision, and it was of a life and death nature, to perform a purposeful, distinctive, and successful life-saving act on a coworker who was choking and unable to breathe. Not just for this incident, but for his many years of dedication and service, we are proud to give Jeff the proclamation from our office. Thank you for your service,
Is his
Jeff.
department head here?
No,
So we'll
get it to him, yep.
so his department head, and
Yep.
thank you, Jeff. And moving forward, third quarter 2020, Julie O'Neill.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Kevin.
So Julie O'Neill has demonstrated enthusiasm, patience, and utmost professionalism in carrying out the responsibilities of her position as Deputy Town Clerk, Account Clerk, in our Town Clerk's office. Julie is considered a team player by colleagues, and she is known for going above and beyond to assist constituents, even staying late and coming in early to accommodate their needs. I can also add from personal experience that Julie helps her colleagues because she's helped me. Congratulations, Julie, on being chosen by the Labor Management Committee as Employee of the Quarter, a well-deserved honor, and thank you for all you do on behalf of our town.
Thank you. Congratulations, Julie. And lastly, for the fourth quarter of 2020, we have Debbie Schwartz. Can she come forward, Debbie?
Good job.
For the fourth quarter of 2020, Debbie Schwartz. Debbie has demonstrated kindness, empathy, and the utmost dedication in carrying out the responsibilities of her position as manager of the Riverhead Senior Citizen Center. When the COVID-19 pandemic forced the necessary closure of the senior center, Debbie recognized the devastating effect into which it would have to our senior residents and created new and innovative ideas to continue interacting with our beloved seniors to keep their spirits high. We are grateful for all the work that you provide for our seniors, and thank you very much. And the fourth quarter goes to Debbie Schwartz. Thank you.
Congratulations, Debbie.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving forward, can I have a first and a second to approve the town board minutes from the January 20, 2021 meeting?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
Second, great. Can you call, Diane, call the vote?
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
And Diane, do we have any communications or reports?
Yes, we do. There are, I think, a total of 8 letters of opposition to the Chapter 31 outdoor car storage. That was supposed to have been our public hearing yesterday. That was canceled. And then I also have, let's see here now, Carol Bartow sent a letter of request for a cleanup of unsightly property in Accaboag. There was a petition from some residents of Riverside Drive, and that is a petition for a speed hump. John McAuliffe sent a letter with his comments on the Town of Riverhead letter to the Suffolk County Water Authority. John M. sent a letter of another letter of opposition for the outdoor car storage. Stephen Kramer sent a letter of inquiry concerning the water district and the water supply to the EPCAL property. The Downtown Revitalization Committee sent a letter in support of the adoption of the pattern book.
Good.
And under reports, the town historian submitted her annual report for 2020. Sewer and Scavenger Waste Districts submitted the influent gallonage report for 2020. The building department submitted their monthly report for January 2021, and that was $42,439.50. Tax receiver, total tax collection to date as of January 27th, that was $88,817,411.11. And the tax receiver also submitted the December 2020 utility collection report for $711,263.38. And that is it.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Diane. Moving forward, once again, the public hearing that we scheduled for this week has been canceled due to the snowstorm. We had noticed this hearing for yesterday due to the fact that we canceled the meeting, we canceled the entire board meeting. We need to renotice this meeting if this town board wants to go forward with a public hearing. So we need to take a vote if we should renotice this meeting or not renotice this meeting.
I would like to make a motion to not renotice this public hearing. We heard from a tremendous amount of people in the community, particularly in the area that we were referring to for the car storage. And I want to take a moment to thank them for taking their time to let us know their concerns and let us know, that they really don't want it there and why. And I think when you look at the big picture, I believe they're possibly correct with this. And I think we need to look at another location and see where we can find that might be better suited for car storage that won't occupy should I say, a pristine view, because that road, that view down Manor Road there with the lavender farm on the one side and the open farm space on the other is absolutely gorgeous. So we don't want to do anything to change that, and we're going to go back to the drawing board on it, and I make that motion.
I'll second that.
And,
Yeah,
yeah, I wanted to say something, but I
Okay.
can wait till,
sure, go ahead.
wait till we vote. So I don't want to move forward with this. I'm happy for us to, I'm glad that it was canceled and we don't move forward with it. We heard from many people in the community. Frankly, I never liked this from the beginning for lots of reasons. I want to mention a few of the reasons why I think this was inappropriate. First of all, it's inconsistent with our existing comp plan, and plus we are in the midst of a comp plan. So I think in that respect, it's not good. If we gave these car dealers outside storage, they would be the only industry in town that have off-site outside storage. And if we were to give a special permit to this, it would bring up a lot of issues. For one thing, there isn't water there. So there would be site plan problems because there's no water there for fire suppression or for the vegetative buffers. There's problems with stormwater management. And, as other people have said, let's not amend our zoning to allow car storage on what is prime farmland in Riverhead. So I was not happy with this from the beginning. I do think, we could try to work with our car dealers, but not in this location. So I'm happy that we will not, I hope we don't move forward with it.
Okay, so Frank, we're voting on not noticing, or
I will vote.
if for noticing or not noticing,
No, for not noticing,
okay?
but I do have a couple of comments. And
Sure.
unlike Catherine, I thought this was a perfect spot for it. The agricultural farmland there is marginal at best. And to put those industrial properties back on the tax roll as industrial would have been very helpful. But I understand the plight of the community around it, and that's why I'm voting to not, move forward with it. But I think it would have been a good solution for a very necessary problem, and we should go back to the drawing board and work with the car dealers. We will.
And Ken?
I agree exactly with everyone else has shared, so yeah. Yep.
Okay, so the car dealerships here in Riverhead are one of the biggest businesses out here, and I think in the entire eastern part of New York, and we need to make sure that if they have a need, that need is taken care of. They are taxpayers also, and so we are back to the drawing board, but please, I know today we were looking at the map to try to identify locations, and, we need to address this because there is a need, and not necessarily due to their business operations, but manufacturers are now forcing car dealers to take an excess amount of cars up front before they're sold, so there is a need not caused by, by their operations, and hopefully that this is going to be resolved. This application took about 2 years to get to, and hopefully it's not going to take 2 years. I think we have enough understanding of what's going on that we could try to move this as quickly as we can. And so we will not be holding, we are not going to, Diane, please note, we are not going to renotice that public hearing based on the board voting. All right, so we're going to be moving forward, and we're going to go on to resolutions, but before we go on to resolutions, we're going to open it up to the public to see if they have comments specifically related to the resolutions. Any other comments will come afterwards at the end of the meeting. Devin, do we have anyone in the, and Chip, do we have anyone in the waiting room wanting to comment on the resolutions before us today?
We do.
Okay. About how many people we have?
We have just 2 people right now looking to comment on resolutions.
Fine, can you bring them forward, please?
Sure, we'll bring up Mike Foley, who's looking to comment on resolution number 102. Just a reminder to everybody in the meeting room, we of course need your name and your hamlet, and you'll have 5 minutes to make all your comments, after which time the board may or may not respond. Mr. Foley, can you hear us?
Yes, good afternoon. Mike Foley from Reeves Park, and I have a couple of questions on Resolution 102 that ratifies authorization for publication. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. That ratifies authorization for publication of the federal notice for PFAS, PFOA Riverhead Water District. On page 29 and on page 31, what I have questions on. I'm going to go to page 31 first. And it's right at the top. Why are you receiving this notice information? You are receiving this notice because testing of our public water system found the chemical PFAS at one of the sources which provides you drinking water above New York State's maximum contaminant level. I'll stop right there. They are saying it is above the 10 parts per trillion. And then when you look on page 29, the first whereas in this resolution, it says, whereas Riverhead Water District sample testing at Plant 5 has determined the presence of PFAS, PFOA at concentration levels below the maximum New York standard. So that's incorrect. We are above the 10 parts per trillion on PFAS, and we are below 10 parts per trillion on PFOA. So I think you need to segregate one from the other on this whereas. Something like whereas PFAS is above the maximum and PFOA is below the maximum, to be more accurate on what we're dealing with on this deferral. Before you comment on it, I just want to add 2 other things on this. Looking at the parts per trillion, it occurred to me that there was nothing about exactly how many parts per trillion PFAS has in that drinking well. And I think it'd be good for the public to know, was there is kind of a statement that flies in the face of the maximum parts per trillion. At the bottom, what are the health effects of PFAS? Again, on page 31. At the very bottom of that segment, it says, at the level of PFAS detected in your water, exposure from drinking water and food preparation is well below PFAS exposures. But that's not what it says. It says, according to New York State, if you're above 10 parts per trillion, it does present the danger. So either it does or it doesn't. I'm going to take for granted that the parts per trillion exceeds the 10 per trillion that New York puts down. I would like to know exactly how many parts per trillion it is. And obviously, if that is the case, I think maybe we need to do some kind of a disclaimer on the bottom of that, stating that it is safe to drink when in fact it may not be. Now again, I certainly don't know anything in regards to water purity except what the state tells me is acceptable and not acceptable. And certainly, if your water representative there wants to say it is safe, that's fine. I'd love an explanation on it. But certainly to segregate the PFAS is exceeding the maximum of 10 and PFOA as being below that, I think is important to make this resolution accurate. And then finally, there has been descriptions of what you're going to be doing to bring the PFAS below the 10 parts per trillion that has been referred to as blending. Now, blending, as far as I'm concerned, should infer that you're adding an ingredient to neutralize the poisoning element that you're looking to reduce. If you're just adding clean water, I believe the proper term of that would be diluting, wouldn't it? And as an example, let's just say we have 15 parts per trillion in a gallon of water. If you added a gallon of clean water to that, then the 15 parts per trillion would be reduced in half, or 7.5 parts per trillion, which would now make it within conformity of the New York State maximum. So that's just something that I would like to bring to the board's attention, and maybe the water guy's attention. Maybe the proper vernacular for water is that just putting clean water with contaminated water, for want of a better term, should be called blending. But to me, it should be diluted. And that's all my comments are for 102, and I'd like to hear your response on correcting the whereas. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. We have our water highway superintendent. His name is Frank.
No,
Water district,
Water
water
district.
district superintendent.
Hi, Mike. This is,
Water district,
by the way, this is
I
Frank
just joined their jobs.
I'm the water guy.
District, and he does have the stats on that,
Yeah, I can address
you,
this, because it is terribly confusing, and
is.
I'm going to go in reverse, because I remember his last statement. So the
Okay.
term blending is not something the Water District chose. That is the language of the state of New York and the regulatory agency. What you described as dilution is in fact what they're describing as blending. We don't get to make that decision. That is a treatment, a method of treatment determined by the state, and that's what they call it. The other important thing is the rest of the language in the actual legal notice is also generated directly by the state, and we were not able to alter it and change it in any way. I do agree that it's confusing, but what Mr. Foley is not understanding, and what this doesn't make clear, is that the POF concentrations that they're saying were above the drinking water standard were for an individual well number 5-1, which does have a concentration of PFOS above a 10 later in the summer. This is a well we only use in the wintertime. When we turn it on in the spring, it's probably got a PFOS value of single digits, 5 or so. As we pump it more through the summer, it goes as high as 15. But what you have to understand is that well never goes to system on its own, because it, by coincidence, had manganese in it already, which is a naturally occurring contaminant. So the way our sites are regulated by the health department is the configuration and operation of the site is something I have to get approved by the health department. This particular well is only approved to operate when it is blended with well number 2A on the same site, which does not have any of these contaminants in it. We will occasionally get a hit of PFOS in it at the detection limits of 2 parts per trillion, but it has next to nothing in it. So what the public has to understand is we're in a unique situation, the Riverhead Water District, because we have never violated the 10 part per trillion drinking water standard because we were coincidentally blending this well for manganese the entire time, because we're only allowed to operate the well under those conditions when it's blended with well number 2A. I did this as a precautionary measure because the blend has gone as high as a 9. So if it goes over a 10 without a deferral, I would have to remove that well from service. And this gives us an ability to keep the well active while we work on treatment. Now, someone like Mr. Foley may not be thrilled about that, but that is not a unique situation. Every water supplier I know on Long Island is in a deferral, and most are in a deferral for PFOS, PFOA, and 1,4-dioxane. We're lucky enough to not have any 1,4-dioxane in our system, so we didn't ask for that deferral. But this is really a function of the state regulating these new drinking water standards, where previously we were held at 70 parts per trillion, and now we're held at 10 parts per trillion. So a drop in a regulation that quickly just doesn't give the water supplier time enough to implement treatment. So this deferral gives us that time we need to do that.
Excellent explanation.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Really well
Yeah.
done.
Clear. Is our water safe to drink?
It is. It meets all federal, local, and state drinking water standards,
Thank you.
and has.
And
Thank you.
every resident in Riverhead deserves that.
Yeah, it does. This is not a unique situation. It's difficult to talk about, but it's not unique to us in any way.
I think you answered his questions.
Okay, thanks so
Thank you
much.
so
Thanks,
much.
Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Great job, Frank, thank you.
Water Superintendent,
Thank you, Frank.
good job.
The water guy.
The water guy. That's why I was just trying to give him his name.
By the way, he answers to all of it.
He's been called worse, right? Yes. He totally agrees. Oh.
Okay,
Okay, so, do we have anyone else in the waiting room?
we do. We have John McAuliffe. We'll bring him up
Okay,
next.
sure. John,
Yeah, I'm going on.
okay.
Okay,
Great.
thanks very much. I hope everybody survived the storm okay. I have comment on resolutions 111, 112, and 113. And my comment goes to suggesting that you table those resolutions. These are the extensions or reappointment of 3 members to the Ethics Board. It's no sense of criticism of those 3 members or judgment about them, but the procedure, I think, needs to be publicly discussed. And the issue of the nature, the balance on the board needs to be publicly discussed. First of all, I mean, maybe this is just considered a rotation that is within the Ethics Board. Sorry, our dog is joining the conversation. That within the board itself, there is a assumed ability to simply reappoint members, but I would think it would have been very important to have announced publicly that there were 3 vacancies and to consider in some broader framework in some broader framework, the makeup of the board and consider other candidates for it and make judgments about who would bring the most to the Ethics Board. The second question goes back to the experience we had when we brought to the Ethics Board, and I say we in this case, EPCAL Watch. The rest of these comments are not EPCAL Watch, but EPCAL Watch, when we brought the complaint about Ms. Giglio, there were articles that raised questions about whether the Ethics Board had maintained the political diversity and balance that was required by statute. And I have not gone back and looked at that article, but my memory was that there were serious doubts that that was the case. So I think that needs to be looked at fresh before you reappoint people. And third is a point I've made in other positions in the town, and that is ethnic and racial representation of the community. don't know these three people, but I would wonder, are any of these people not Caucasian, not white? What is the ethnic and racial makeup of the ethics board? I would be very surprised if it reflects the 20% Hispanic and 20% African-American population of the town.
Is Eric
And
here?
as Ms. Kent has mentioned at other times, I think you have to very consciously see every procedural decision as a place to address the ways systemic racism shows up, even in an environment such as Riverhead, where you don't really think that it's there. So again, my suggestion is that you table these three resolutions and open up to public engagement the possibility of serving on the ethics board, and secondly, assuring that you do have political balance and ethnic and racial diversity. Thank you.
I'd like to take a stab at this one.
Oh, let me say
If you
just
want to, yeah.
mechanically, it is extremely difficult to hear the supervisor, to understand what she's saying. Other members are a little clearer, but still not super clear, as opposed to, for example, the comment, the religious injection at the beginning. Or if you watch it in video, it's very clear, but there's something about the system that's set up for the Zooms that really makes it very hard for your audience to understand what you're saying.
I think it's these masks, John.
It's the mask, and I had my
No,
computer
it's
over.
not, well, maybe, but I think, at any rate, I don't know, but I think you should look into that technical question.
Well, I mean, we need to talk about whether we need the mask if we're 6 feet apart.
Yeah, I think that's something we should.
That's a
we should-
choice, I'm
yeah,
keeping mine
yeah.
on.
Keep in mind,
And,
Right.
you know, people could take pictures and say we weren't ready, and for health reasons, it's just ensures we are still.
That we cannot
All right, so
understand the
John's
word you're
finished.
saying.
I'd like to take a stab
Okay.
at his.
Well, I'm gonna, well, I know Deputy Town Attorney Eric Howard is here, but I'm going to take a stab at part of the question, if not all of it.
Okay,
The political makeup of the members right now is 2 Democrats, 1 Republican, 1 blank. So that's the
think
political
there's-
makeup.
I think there's 1 Democrat.
2.
No,
two
two.
right in
Two.
front of us.
And there is 1 white male, 2 white female, 1 black female is the makeup of that 4-member board, if the 3 resolutions that are on today get adopted.
So
I hope I got it right.
Before Eric goes, I just wanted to comment because, of course, just like on any of the boards in our town, we thank the people for doing such a great job and
Absolutely.
volunteering their time. These people are no exception. They spend a lot of time, and ethics is a very difficult topic to navigate sometimes. But I will
And
say.
they are committed to it as well.
Committed to it, definitely. I will say, Donna Bernard in particular is my next door neighbor. She's an African-American female, I believe Democrat, but I could be wrong. She has the highest integrity and ethical formation that I've ever encountered among people. And to table a motion where there is such great diversity and there is such great talent and love for this board, I would think is a little bit of a misjudgment,
okay.
in my opinion.
I agree.
Eric, but there is there is a vacancy.
Well, right now, there is a potential vacancy.
Okay.
I emailed the board members a couple times over the past 2 months, sort of exploring whether there would be any, if there would be any interest in, fielding, resumes or suggesting candidates to join the board. And that's really the extent of it at this point.
I think it's a good idea to have 5-person board anyway, just in case of,
Yeah. So why don't we
A vote?
have resumes sent to the clerk's office? Anybody
it.
in the community who's interested,
Yeah.
send resumes to the clerk office. Eric Howard is our attorney, who is our coordinator.
Yeah.
And he's done a good job so far concerning this. And Eric, the resumes come in, send them to us, and, because,
Yeah, I mean, any resumes that come in that are expressing, you know, some sort of interest in joining should be, you know, be accompanied by a cover letter sort of
Sure.
explaining your interest and, you know, a resume setting forth what you believe to be your qualifications.
great.
And once I receive those, you know, they'll all be copied and forwarded onto the town board for consideration.
I think that's
So-
that,
So it's my understanding, and it was alluded to today, that the way the ethics board is made up is it's supposed to be diverse in political affiliations, correct, Eric?
Yes, yeah, there's, just to be totally clear, there's not supposed to be more than 2 of any particular political party on the board.
So what is the current political makeup of this board?
Currently,
Without the person that,
currently, there's 1 blank, there is 2 Democrats, and there's 2 Republican member, 1 Republican member.
okay. I think that pretty much answers that.
there was a conservative,
I'm
right?
sorry?
There was one conservative.
I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Devin, do we have anyone else in the waiting room?
There's nobody else in the waiting room to comment on resolutions.
Okay. All right, moving forward, Diane, can you please call the resolutions?
Resolution 27, this is a table resolution that I believe is being untabled.
Yes,
Yeah, it's just a change of scheduling,
right,
as I remember it.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me,
You need it?
yeah, I have it. This authorizes sewer district employees to attend seminar. I make a motion to untable this resolution.
Second,
Vote, please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
yes.
Kent,
Yes,
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
Resolution number 27 is untabled. Now we'll follow through to vote.
This resolution authorizes sewer district employees to attend seminar. So moved.
seconded?
vote, please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes,
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
Resolution adopted. Now we'll move on to our regularly scheduled resolutions. 97.
sound like a commercial. Appoints official newspaper for the town of Riverhead, so moved.
Seconded,
vote, please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
yes.
Kent,
Yes,
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
Resolution adopted. Resolution 98.
Annual review and adoption of procurement policy. So moved.
Seconded.
vote, please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
yes,
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
Resolution adopted. Resolution 99.
Authorizes notice to bidders test well program Phase 2, installation of groundwater test wells, capital project number 4, RDWD 1804 Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
before I say vote, please, congratulations, this is your first form of legislation that you called to the table. So, and can we vote, please?
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
yes,
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
Resolution adopted. Resolution 100.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post public notice to consider a local law to amend Chapter 105 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Boards, Commissions, and Councils. So moved.
seconded?
vote, please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
This is in regards to open space, I believe. Yes,
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
Resolution adopted. Resolution 101.
authorizes notice of public hearing to establish fair and reasonable sewer rent for out-of-town facilities for calendar years 2020 and 2021, and ratify and confirm fair and reasonable sewer rent for out-of-town facilities for calendar years 2018 and 2019. So moved.
Seconded,
vote,
Forgot
please.
that part.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
yes.
Kent,
Certainly, I want to hold Suffolk County accountable for this, and I hope that we can take a firm line on this. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, or we close the valve.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 102.
Ratify authorization for publication of deferral notice for PFAS and PFOA Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 103.
Authorizes license agreement with Cornell Cooperative Extension of Suffolk County for installation of fish passage camera at Granger Bell Park. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 104.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a musical works license agreement with SESAC LLC. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 105.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a fifth amended agreement authorizing the town to accept funds from Suffolk County's Office for the Aging for the purpose of supplementing the town's nutrition program for the elderly. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 106.
Authorizes retention of Whitman, Osterman, and Hanna LLP regarding Amici Curie in the matter of the town of Southampton et al. Versus New York State DEC et al., case number 532083. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 107.
Authorizes the Community Development Department to apply for a New York State Department of,
Environmental conservation.
Environmental Conservation, CFA Environmental Planning Grant for the Riverhead Sewer District's Biosolid Reuse Project. So moved.
Seconded.
That's your first read out. Very good. Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 108.
Authorizes the Community Development Department to apply for a New York State Environmental Facilities Corporation for a Green Innovation Grant for a biosolids reuse project. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 109.
Classifies and issues a negative declaration for an application for a green innovation grant pursuant to SECRA. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 110.
Classifies and issues a negative declaration for an application for an environmental planning grant. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 111.
Reappoints Audrey Zaweski to the Board of Ethics. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
You know, I'm just going to say to John McCullough's point, I think at some point we may want to think about for boards advertising and letting people know when there are openings, and, you know, opening it up to more people. But for today, we haven't done that, and we've got 3 very fine, excellent candidates here, including Audrey. So I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 112.
Reappoint John Lombardi to Board of Ethics. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 113.
Reappoint Donna Bernard to Board of Ethics. So moved.
Seconded.
That's the second time I forgot that.
Vote
Sorry.
please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Absolutely yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, and thank you to all of them for volunteering their time for doing this. We appreciate that.
Aguirre.
Yes, and I agree. Sometimes we forget them, and sometimes they're here in the rain and in the snow, 7, 8 o'clock, at night, and we thank you for your commitment to our town. Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 114.
Set salaries for 2021 call-in personnel for the Riverhead Recreation Department. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 115.
Set salaries for the 2021 seasonal beach personnel for the Riverhead Recreation Department. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 116.
Appoint a call-in recreation leader to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 117.
Appoints a call-in assistant recreation leader to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 118.
Appoints a part-time clerk to the Riverhead Recreation Department. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 119.
Ratifies approval for request for leave of absence. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 120.
Ratifies the reinstatement of an automotive equipment operator. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 121.
Encumbers funds from 2020 for HVAC professional services agreement. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 122.
Pay the bills. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguiar.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Thank you, Diane, and this concludes our resolutions for today. At this point, we will open it up for public comments on any other matter. Devin, is there anyone using Zoom wishing to make a statement?
Yes, we have a couple people in the room, so we'll bring up Mike Foley first.
Okay.
Mike, can you hear us?
Hi, Mike Foley from Reeves Park. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes,
Great.
we can.
Just a couple of things. On the proclamations that you came, I just want to add my thanks to the Riverhead Safe program. You know, when the pandemic started in mid-March, everybody was scrambling for a way to stay safe. And this town board put the SAFE program in, put wonderful people in charge of it. I know Debbie was one of the people that you mentioned, and I thank her for her continued service. But we also dealt with it, Donna, for at least a month before she handed it off, I think, to Debbie. But everybody you put at that desk did a wonderful job. And I no longer avail myself of the SAFE program because I now go to the curbside pickup for Gala Fresh, who has earned my support through their loyalty to the SAFE program. So I just wanted to comment, thank you for everything that you've done there. I also want to thank Frank, the water guy, for his excellent explanation. He explained exactly how it is that our water works. Certainly, it was unclear to me if the plant that had the 15, by the way, Frank, also thank you for adding that it's 15 parts per trillion so it's 5 over the 10, and still would have been well under the 70 parts per trillion that the state had before, and I understand that. But what I understood by your explanation is that the wells themselves share the water supply so that any other non-contaminated, and I use that term improperly, but non-contaminated in PFAS automatically dilutes the water to well under the 10 parts per trillion. So again, Frank, I thank you very much for answering my question. And finally, Riverhead Local had an article yesterday that kind of blended, I'll use that word, two stories. The EPCAL dispute that we have with the SCWA and the Manorville problem that we have for those 62 people whose wells have been poisoned by the Navy, and the attempts of that community and some of our elected officials to get water as quickly as possible to those homes. And I just want to read from the article that states, quote, "The Water Authority is planning to run a main to serve 62 homes in Manorville in the southwest corner of the town of Riverhead, south of the former Grumman site. Some private wells are contaminated by chemicals thought to have migrated into groundwater from the manufacturing site. The Water Authority has asked the Navy to fund the project. Riverhead Supervisor Yvette Aguiar said today the town is exploring its options, including going to court to settle the dispute. Aguiar has said she views the Water Authority's assertion of the right to serve the homes in Manorville and the Enterprise Park as an attempt to take over the town water district. Councilman Tim Hubbard, who served as town board liaison to the water district from 2016 until last year, said he believes the town needs to sit down, quote, sit down and talk with the Water Authority. Quoting Tim again, let's negotiate with them and find a way to make everybody happy, Hubbard said, rather than jump into the legal forum right away. Hubbard said getting clean, safe drinking water to the people in Manorville has to be everyone's top priority, quoting Tim again. If it comes down to Suffolk County Water Authority providing water to 62 homes in Manorville, so be it. Does that mean they're taking over Riverhead Water District? No. So, and I'll stop reading now and just give my feelings on this, and they're very strong feelings. Yvette, I do not believe that you are looking to use these people as some kind of an issue to fight with the Suffolk County Water Authority. But I believe the perception is that you would delay this hookup to the SCWA water supply to the betterment of getting the Riverhead Water District involved in this. I've done a little more research since my comments on this 2 weeks ago. It is clear that the SCWA hookup costs millions of dollars less than the Riverhead hookup would be. And for that reason alone, I agree with Tim 100%. That this is something that we need to work out between SCWA and the town to the betterment of prompt, cost-effective hookup of those 62 people. Tim, I think you're right on point here. I think if we can get a consensus to go that way, and Yvette, I believe if you look at this rationally and not territorially, that the best way to proceed here is to get a third party the cheapest possible remedy to hook those people up.
Mr. Foley, that's 5 minutes. We appreciate your comments today. Thank you very much.
I'll thank you for your time.
Okay, Mr. Foley, so I'm going to respond to your two comments. Donna Sadowski, my legislative aide, formed the program for my office, and she was there for 5 months until we reopened and we gave it back. We gave it to the senior center, and everyone's doing a good job. And thank you on that end. Concerning your question on perception, yes, it is absolutely perception. We have been working, we've had meetings, we had sit-downs with the Suffolk County Water Authority in an attempt to address Manorville and also EPCAL. At one point in December, we thought that we were possibly going to be able to work out some type of agreement between myself, our attorney, our water superintendent, and Frank Bayrod, who is our water liaison. He was in on those calls, he was in on those meetings. Okay, and the goal here was to ensure that Manorville residents get optimum, quick, safe, and clean water. You know, what is reported in the newspaper or what somebody claims that we should have sit-downs, well, people weren't privy to those sit-downs because we have a liaison, and unfortunately, maybe there was some misinformation. But I'm not just going to concentrate on the article on the Riverhead Local. I can assure you that we met with the DEC, we met with Mr. Sable, we've met with their attorneys, and our intention was to get quick water hookup. We are in this together. we are not gonna interfere, with Matterville getting water. However, it's not uncommon and we have addressed these type of issues with the Navy before, when we have to get funding to clear, it doesn't have to be water, but to clear, the earth in certain areas, that they provide funding. They would provide funding to the Riverhead Water District to, complete the hookup, and the Brookhaven, residents will be hooked up by the Suffolk County Water Authority. And you're 100% correct. It is the perception. I've been at all meetings. I've been at meetings with Adrian Esposito, and we have stood together, especially 2 weeks ago, we stood together with our congressman and the Suffolk County Water Authority, and our goal was to, one mission, together in unity to get the water hookup. And so then, let's not confuse that with the EPCAL property, and we will continue. I have spoken to Schumer's office myself personally, and we all want to work on this together. We are taking this to Washington together, and we're going to continue to work together.
I think one of the key words is here together. These are related issues, but separate issues. You've got the homes in Calverton, in Manorville, 62 homes, and our priority there needs to be to get clean water to those people, and we have to all work together to do that. I know that Senator Schumer has been working on it, and Senator Gillibrand, and Congressman Zeldin. We need to all be united as a board on pushing for that, along with environmental advocates and citizen advocates. It's really key for us to come together and focus on getting water hookup, and to push the Navy to fund this. And as far as the Navy's concerned, if we could, the thinking is if we could push the Navy to do the funding, the Navy could certainly fund Suffolk County water for the homes that are on the on the Brookhaven side, and then help Riverhead for the homes that are on the Riverhead side. So the key here, the EPCAL issue is different, but as far as the homes in Manorville, it's really important for us to move swiftly and move together to get them taken care of.
I want to agree with Catherine, if I might. I don't think there's any person on this board that wants to hold up, intentionally or otherwise, any of our citizens getting hooked up to clean, safe water. This is a matter of public safety, and whatever is the most expeditious way to get that done, we will succumb to that, or we will be party to that. However, do we think that our water district could certainly be that
Service
provider? Yes, that's what we think, and especially with the funding from the Navy, like Catherine said, if they were so inclined to split the funding half and half with Suffolk County Water and with Riverhead Water, I think that would be a perfect a solution to this conundrum.
Supervisor, you mentioned that in December, you were so close to an agreement. Well, you need to get back to that point in time and get back to that agreement. If you take this into litigation, this is going to waylay any outcome. There's nobody here that thinks it's going to happen sooner by going to litigation. I want nothing to do with Suffolk County Water Authority taking over the Riverhead Water District. I'm going to be very clear about that. But having said that, if we could split and do it the way you guys both mentioned, that's fine. That's 100% fine. That's a win-win. I just have a feeling that with Suffolk County Water Authority being a bigger entity, they're going to get the money faster and quicker than Riverhead Town is. And that's where my thoughts are, that to get this water to those people in Manorville as soon as possible, that may have to be the route we go. Having said that, if they lay water mains in the town of Riverhead that serve those people where we currently do not, they are within the guidelines of the law to do that. I'm not looking to give up our water department. I would never support that. But the bottom line here isn't who's got the best water supply, it's who can get water to those people first. And that's why I stand by my comments, and I'm going to stick with them.
Okay, and in December, there was no mention of us having coming to an agreement.
You
I
just
don't-
said that before.
No, we tried to, and
You
then they.
just said we were close to an agreement in
Okay, so let's
December.
not cross-examine here.
It's
Okay,
not a
let's- well, let's
cross-examine.
talk.
State what's correct.
Okay.
Don't change your
In
tune.
December, we were working on a verbal agreement, and they sent us an agreement, and we responded back, and we said, we need to talk, these parameters didn't work, all right? And before we were waiting for their response, and before that moment happens, they sent the letter, not to Riverhead, they sent the letter to the press and to the DEC. So we're trying to work through this. Again, the goal here is to supply clean and safe water. I have been at press conferences with Congressman Selden, with Schumer and Gillibrand. We are all in this together. As far as if you think there is a discrepancy, Councilman Hubbard, I think we should talk about it. And we also have our water liaison here, and we should try to iron this out. But the goal here, we all have the same goal, and I am totally supportive how Catherine can address the issue, and that's the route that we should go. So I think we're all in agreement here is that we should all move forward, make sure that they get the water they have to get. And if there is gonna be funding, that we get it. We're not moving into litigation. Litigation was never spoken about. There's a possibility of litigation. When you are addressing an issue, you look at how to address the issue, and then you look at the end result. That's an end result. And we also have to consult with our attorneys, and we also have to consult with the stakeholders here in town, and our liaison has been part of this entire process and understands where we are, and at no point have we ever said we're going straight to the litigation. That's always an option.
No, and I think that the other thing is that these are really two specifically different issues.
Yes, they are.
The EPCAL issue is completely different than getting safe water to the people in Calverton and/or Manorville. So we shouldn't confuse the two, and I think that's
That's
sometimes where we come to a misunderstanding.
Sure, and I totally agree. Any other public comments?
Okay, we have, next, we're going to bring up Robert Banfelder and Donna DeRasmo, who I understand
Okay.
are together, I guess.
Uh,
Right, Chip? Okay.
You have to tell them that you're here.
Robert and Donna, can you guys hear us?
Yes, we can. Can you hear us?
We can hear you, we cannot see you. I'm not sure if that's deliberate or not, but just to make you aware.
Okay, well, that's okay. Thank
Okay.
you for your time.
If I could just ask you to
Robert?
please state your hamlet, and I'll just remind you that you guys will have 5 minutes to make all your comments today. Thank you.
Okay, we are in Riverhead Town on Riverside Drive.
Yes, I'm going to read the letter that we sent to the town board on January the 19th. Town board members, immediate action at your next town board meeting is to be read into the town board minutes referencing a most perilous safety issue concerning the residents of Riverside Drive et al. Drivers often fail to negotiate the 90-degree bend along Riverside Drive, hitting and/or downing utility poles, crippling support cables and electrical wires, plowing through and across front yards, and damaging neighbors' properties, smashing into vehicles, nearly crashing into a home, potentially causing the loss of life and limb. Previous pleas to the town board over the course of 30 years, I'll repeat that, over 30 years, in order to rectify this situation have led nowhere. It is imperative that the Riverhead Town Board immediately address this ongoing hazardous traffic situation for the welfare of Riverside Drive residents, as well as those folks traveling into and out of town from Route 105 and East Main Street respectively. Speed humps as opposed to speed bumps, which slow vehicles down to 10 to 15 miles an hour, along with related caution signs at both ends of the 90-degree bend, would be one remedy to get this most dangerous situation under control. Scoring the road would be another solution. As the years go by, the matter continues to worsen exponentially.
Okay, we have met with Superintendent Woodson a couple of times.
Highway.
And the most recent was a couple of weeks ago. And we first told him about putting in speed bumps. He was against that because if drivers take that bend more than 30 miles an hour, as they really do, they don't slow down, then they'll be airborne. We wanted to put boulders in. He says they have to be 10 feet back off the road.
Which would do nothing.
Which would do absolutely nothing. The last time cars came across our lawn, they came through the center of our lawn. Had we been mowing the lawn at that time, we would have wound up at Peconic Bay Medical Center. So I appreciate the fact that you're taking the time regarding this situation. It is a most grave situation, and I would hate to see someone lose life or limb because of it. Thank you.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
So just in response, I just wanted to let you know that we did receive the letter. Myself and our Chief of Police, Chief Hagemiller, along with our Highway Superintendent, we had all met, and we just had a meeting, and we had set up a time that we were going to try to come out this week to physically stand at the location and try to make some measurements and try to make some determination of how that 90-degree corner could be addressed. So I just at least want to let you know that we got your letter. The chief and the highway superintendent and myself, as members of the Traffic Advisory Committee, will certainly be working on it, and we'll sure to have a response to you and do the best we can to remedy the situation and make it as safe as possible. So it is a work in progress right now. So I thank you for commenting and for reaching out to us.
Great, thank you,
I'm
Kim.
glad that the Traffic Safety Committee is addressing it because, and thank you for your letter. I'm actually familiar, I think a lot of us are probably familiar with that turn. That is a sharp turn. So thank you, Councilman Rockwell.
Okay, we have one more person looking to make comments today, and that is Cindy Clifford. Ms. Clifford, if you could, of course, state your hamlet for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes to make your comments. It's just taking a moment to connect.
I think her mic is not on either.
Maybe we just lost Ms. Clifford, I'm not sure.
Cindy, can you put on your mic?
She's left the meeting room.
There
Oh,
she
there
is.
she is.
Hello?
Hi,
We can hear Hi. Hi.
there you go.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there. Okay, I'm Cindy Clifford from Riverhead. I'm the newly elected chair of the Town of Riverhead Anti-Bias Task Force. For anyone who isn't aware, the task force is a nonpartisan group of town residents. We've got school board representatives, clergy members, Chief Hagemiller, and our town board liaison, Frank Bayrod. Given the stark divisions that exist right now in the country and, even to some extent in our town, we feel, as we're sure you all do as well, that the existence and the awareness of Riverhead's Anti-Bias Task Force is more important than maybe ever before. We are wholeheartedly committed to working to address the causes and the ramifications of prejudice. And as we prepare to begin a new year with new officers, we're working to expand our membership to better reflect the diversity of our town. We'll be working to raise awareness of who we are and what we do, and that we're here so that we can assist anyone who might be a victim of bias and educate people on the causes of bias. We want to be sure residents know that our monthly meetings are open to the public and that we will welcome their interest and their participation to whatever extent they want to participate. We hope to be working more with the school district to give our kids a voice. Our Vice Chair, Michelle Lynch, has begun reaching out to other East End task forces regarding a collaboration so that we can pool resources and we can share events and experiences, all for the greater collective good. So today, Michelle and I are here. We just want to ask the board if there is anything else that you would like to see us focus on in the coming year. And you don't have to do it off the top of your head, but if you want to, we can follow up at some point in the future. We would love to come in and sit down and talk, maybe at a work session or something, about the plans, so we are all, working at this, moving forward together.
Anybody have any comments?
I'm going to say best of luck, Cindy, to you and Michelle, and thank you for sharing with us about the great work of the Anti-Bias Task Force.
Okay,
Thank you.
great, thank you. Anyone else?
It appears that's it, Supervisor.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, everyone. This concludes our meeting. Can I have a first and a second to close this meeting, please?
So moved.
Second.
So,
I like her
all in
second.
favor, all opposed, so moved. You can take the seat whenever you want, right?